Hey YouTube. So I've kind of kept my mouth shut about some of the things going on in the news the last few months. But you know me, I've always got an opinion. And now that the Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin case has been ruled on, I'd like to say that I'm happy that the ruling ended the way it did. What I'm not happy about is that it turned so political and so big, and now we've got people rioting and stuff. I think it was pretty irresponsible of Obama to jump on the bandwagon right from the get-go and be like, oh, if I had a son who would look like Trayvon, before a jury had a chance to analyze the case and weigh the facts and come to a decision. Because all that did was spark the liberal fire. Doesn't matter. From there on out, nobody cares what anybody else has to say. Oh, if you're liberal, oh, Obama supports Trayvon. And furthermore, the other people that got involved. I had somebody the other day tell me that Al Sharpton was not an instigator in all this. I disagree. What makes me angry, though, is not the case itself. Really, I don't think the case should ever have made it to national news. I think it should have been a regional news thing or a local news thing, maybe an article in a newspaper somewhere about it. But, there's crimes committed every day. And a good portion of these crimes are interraced. Not because of racism, but just happens to be one white guy, which, by the way, Zimmerman's Spanish, or Hispanic, he's not white. But, one white guy in the wrong Asian town, or an Asian guy in the wrong side in the black neighborhood. The reality of it is that the majority of the time, a crime is a crime. It doesn't matter what race somebody is. And for the news to have pushed this issue up to such a big scale, to a point where you hardly saw any news about anything that had to do with the Benghazi scandal, we're still waiting on answers for, the IRS scandal, all those things kind of went to the wayside to make room for this one court case down in Sanford, Florida. And now there's riots all across the country. What pisses me off is, why can't these people that are out there rioting get that passionate about something that really fucking matters? Like the IRS scandal. That's what we should be rioting about, among other things. This NSA guy, Snowden, Benghazi, just, you name it, drone strikes. I'm really disappointed in Americans as a whole, as a society, that they would pick up arms and riot for several days in their streets over this. Yeah, I'm sorry that this gentleman lost his life. It's sad. It is really sad. I think that Zimmerman could have found some other alternatives. He may have wound up dead himself or physically hurt worse. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows except for him and Trayvon. But it happens in every city every day. There's how many shootings every day in Detroit, the land of no guns allowed? Tell me about some of them people. Why is it this one case? And they keep calling Trayvon a kid. Well, he was 17. He may legally not be old enough to vote, but he's not a child. He is not a child. He's 17 years old, and let me tell you what, there's many a 17-year-old out there that you better not look at him as a child, because they'll do exactly the opposite. They'll do exactly what Zimmerman feared was going to happen. They'll put a gun to your head. You don't call a 17-year-old hoodie a child. He's not. He doesn't want to be treated like one. He doesn't want to be spoken to like one. You know, he wants to be treated as an adult. He was going to be legally an adult on paper in, you know, just a matter of months. I don't know when his birthday was going to be, but he was 17, so he was less than a year away. And we know that 18-year-olds are old enough to put a gun in their hands and send them to other countries to fight for ours. So how can you tell me somebody just a few months younger than that is a child? So I think that whole argument is null and void. And you don't meet somebody on the street that's a stranger and automatically know what their exact age is. You don't know that. So, you know, I don't know who was right and who was wrong, really. And neither do you. None of us were there. That's between Mr. Zimmerman and God at this point. But I'm glad the verdict came out the way it did, simply because if he had been found guilty and charged, then anytime somebody comes up to you on the street with foul intentions, you know, people are going to be afraid to stand up for themselves because they fear that they'd get that kind of charge against them. And there's got to be a line where we have a right to defend ourselves. But at the time that all that happened, if you remember, the big debates going on was the gun control debate. And I think that the politicians jumped on it and the media jumped on it because they thought it fit into their debate and their scenario. And really, it should never have gotten the attention it got. It just should not. Now, this Zimmerman guy, he might be free by the courts, but he's not free because anywhere he goes, his life's going to be in danger. He'll always be known as that guy. And the guy, you know, kind of like OJ. So, he's got a rough road to hoe. Don't you think for a second he won't be paying a penance for this? As it is. Try being him and go find a job somewhere, you know, or try being him and walk into a grocery store down there. Yeah, his life's pretty much screwed. So, I don't feel sorry for anybody at this point. I know that the way I had heard the story originally, before the media got in there and twisted a bunch of shit up, was that this boy was looking in to lock car doors, feeling them, then walking along, you know. And this Zimmerman guy was the head of the neighborhood watch. This is his job to find out who was in the neighborhood that was not recognized. What were they doing? Why were they looking in windows? It was his job. So, anyway, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on that. I hope everybody's doing good, and more to come.